Hi, in this video let us see how to find the extreme values of the given functions on their domains. That extreme values are the absolute maximum and absolute minimum. Suppose that function is given as y equal to x square and the domain is a minus infinity to infinity. That function is a y equal to x square, that is the parabolic function, and the domain is minus infinity to infinity. Those are the open intervals. So there is no absolute maximum because that limits are infinite, minus infinity to infinity. No absolute maximum and absolute minimum, that is the at x equal to 0, that is y equal to y is also 0. Maximum and minimum values are called extreme values of the function f. Absolute maxima is called as global maxima and absolute minima is called as global minima. In the next case, that function is y equal to x square, that same function, that different domain. That domain is 0 to 2, including 0 and 2. So there is a absolute maximum, that is at x equal to 2, that is 4, and absolute minimum, that x equal to 0, that is the 0. Next, y equal to x square domain excluding 0, 0 to 2. So that minimum value, cannot say that minimum value, that absolute minimum value, because that 0 is excluded. Here that limit, upper limit is the 2. So that maximum value at x equal to 2, that is the 4. So absolute maximum at x equal to 2, that is 4. No absolute minimum. Suppose for the same function y equal to x square and the domain 0 to 2, excluding 0 and 2. So there is no absolute maximum, no absolute minimum. That is a no absolute extremum. That is a extreme value theorem. Theorem 1, that if f is a continuous on a closed interval a to b, then f attains both an absolute maximum value m and an absolute minimum value small m in a to b. Those are the closed intervals. That is, there are numbers x1 and x2 in a to b, in the interval a to b, with f of x1 is equal to small m, that is the minimum value at x equal to x1, and maximum value that x equal to x2. Then m less than or equal to f of x less than or equal to capital M, that is the maximum value for every other x in that closed interval, that is the a to b. Here y equals let us revise these functions, domains and absolute extrema. That y equal to x square, if the domain is the open interval, that is minus infinity to infinity, no absolute maximum, that absolute minimum of 0 at x equal to 0, y equal to x square, and that limits are closed interval, that is 0 to 2. Here that absolute 0 to 2, here that minimum value is at x equal to 0 and the maximum value at x equal to 2, that is the absolute maximum of 4 at x equal to 2, absolute minimum of 0 at x equal to 0. For y equal to x square, that excluding 0 to n, that open interval 0 to 2, this point is excluded, 0 is excluded, so we cannot say that minimum value, and we can say the maximum value, that is at x equal to 2, that is the absolute maximum only, that is at x equal to 2, that value is the 4, and 0 to 2, excluding 0 and excluding 2. So there is no maximum and no minimum value, no absolute maximum, no absolute minimum, that is a no absolute extrema. Thank you for watching.